Hi everyone, Macsen here. Welcome to the first video of my Stellaris Guide Series. Within this series there's going to be a number of videos. Each video will concentrate on a certain topic. And hopefully these guide videos will raise your standard of play, having watched them. So in this first guide video, I'm actually going to be concentrating on the first 10 to 20 or so years of the game. The aim being to improve how quickly you get things developed. The faster you start, the better start you get off to in the 4X game, the better basically, Stellaris included. The quicker your start, the more things will fall into place, and that's the case in all 4X games. So the race I'm actually going to be using is this one here. This is a Plantoid race, one of the new DLC species which was recently released by Paradox. I'm currently using patch version 1.25. If you're watching this at a much later time and certain things have no doubt changed, then I will try to add annotations if I can to let you know what has changed, but you can always ask me in the comments as well if you want to know how I would approach certain things, having had certain aspects of the game changed by patches and expansions and DLC. Right, so this species is xenophobe, as you can see here. I particularly want to show off something to do with xenophobes in the first 10 to 20 or so years of the game, but to be honest, this species isn't all that great at getting off to a really quick start, at least some of the traits here. Species like this one would be much better because they have extra growth time bonuses and food bonuses, and yeah, yet more food consumption bonuses there. They can enslave people via the collectivist trait, which means they get extra food from slaves and minerals from slaves, especially with the despotic empire traits. So this would be much better for a quick start, but yeah, as I mentioned, I want to show off something to do with xenophobes. Currently, the best governments within the game for getting off to a very quick start happen to be despotic empire and plutocratic oligarchy, in my opinion. Their traits of those governments are very good. Yeah, the mining station build cost especially, that's exceptionally good. And yeah, if you happen to be collectivists, that's very good as well. The other governments are very good, at least some of them are, but they're probably better suited to later on in the game. If we go back here, you may have noticed something as well to do with my traits. I've actually selected one more negative traits here than I needed to. There is a reason for that. I intend to, in a future guide video in this series, mention all about genetic manipulation, and I'll mention why I've done that here. Weak is actually a pretty bad trait to start with, especially because of minerals, but this race is going to be using robots and slaves, so I won't actually be putting this this race on any mineral tiles later on in the game, so it won't affect this at all. Other than that, I think I'm pretty much ready to get started. I should also mention as well, I intend to do a guide video on ethics and race selection as well within this series. I'm not going to mention too much more about that now. Let's actually start a game though, so I'm going to switch some stats around here, not that it massively matters. If there's one thing you take away from this video, it's how important minerals are to getting off to a quick start. Minerals are key to really doing well, at least within the first 10 to 20 years of the game, and they're important of course throughout the game. But you really need to concentrate on minerals. They're just important to everything. If you're not concentrating on minerals, then you're making a mistake. It's really that simple. You can see here that our starting minerals actually isn't very good. It's only 7. Now normally stations, for example, cost 90 minerals. So this is going to take me nearly a year of play to actually be able to make a station. You always start with 200 minerals. So with that, I would recommend that you spend this on increasing your minerals. And you need to be increasing your minerals as your priority for, well, years into the game. It's just that important. So with that in mind, let's take a trip to our home system, Plantoids Primus in this case. Now there are certain things here which are always the same. This is a capital world, so you have the same bonuses. The tiles are actually almost always the same, at least certain of the tiles are. Wherever your capital tile happens to be, the cross, the adjacency bonuses you get from the 4 tiles next to them are always the same. You always have 2 energy, 1 mineral, and 1 food. The other tiles tend to vary. So what you're hoping for is actually mineral boost tiles. And as you can see here, sadly, that isn't always the case of what you happen to get. In this circumstance, there's a couple of clear tiles, so that's where I'm going to be building some mining networks. And I would always, with this starting minerals, actually build a couple of mining networks on a bonus mineral tile if possible. If not, then on another tile. Even if you have to actually cover another resource like food or even science or energy, you should do so. Minerals, minerals, minerals are what you need. So at the start of the game. So 2 made there, and yeah, the other things can wait. Basically, that's just what's most important. In this circumstance, we have a governor for clearing tiles. It would have been nicer to have one that reduces build costs. We don't have one there, but to be honest, actually saving your influence at the start of the game is very important. I wouldn't spend my influence on much at all for quite a while. Maybe when you get your first science ship out, you'll need 50 influence then for a scientist, and for outposts and colony ships later on. But apart from that, I really recommend you not to spend it on anything like edicts or anything like that. Influence is too valuable to waste. You really need to be careful with it. So next, you want to get your scientist ship out, and you actually want to survey all of the stars within your starting territory. Those are the only places where you can actually use your constructor ship to bag stations. So more often than not, it's best to survey your home system first of all. And with your constructor ship, you need to wait basically until you find minerals, and only minerals, because the other resources really don't matter all that much. Early game, you definitely want to keep slightly in a positive for money. If you're not 1 or 2 over, then you probably will need to increase your energy in one way or another. The main thing of what you're going to be spending your minerals on, though, is just stations and mineral stations early game. And yeah, that alone pretty much, apart from a bit later on when you start making colony ships and science ships and a bit of a fleet to deal with pirates. Right, so the next thing I'm going to do is our research. You should always pick colony ship without exception. If you don't, then it won't automatically come up as the next in the list, and that would not be good. You actually want to be colonizing as quickly as possible if you want to get off to a good start, so that's why you need it. Now, lowering this amount is actually reasonably important. At some point later on, if you have enough minerals, actually getting a society station up if you can find them is a decent idea. You want to time having enough minerals to make a colony ship and this research completing it around the same time. Preferably. You need 350 minerals for a colony ship. Those is pretty expensive. The other techs, to be honest, at this stage aren't all that important. If you can make robots later on with this species, they're very good at making robots, you should go for that tech. The prerequisite for the robots tech isn't here. Spiritualists can't make robots, so it's a bit of a downside to them. Robots are very useful to actually getting colonies up quickly and turning them over to sectors, which is really important. But I'll be talking more about sectors in a future video. Right, so yeah, the options here aren't all that great, to be honest. So that does give a mineral boost, and yeah, it's not a bad pick actually, probably. So let's go for that. And it's quite nice to actually get some sort of combat bonus for your ships. If you can get it before the pirates come, which are about 5 to 7 years in, that can be a pretty good way to go. So let's go for the blue laser in this circumstance. When you're initially starting as well here, you should probably check to see what traits your ruler has. This is random every time. There are traits that are better than others. Anything to do with reducing Costa stations having extra minerals are particularly good if you want to get off to a quick start, but there are other good ones as well. So in this case, we got Corvette build cost and building costs, which could be better, could be worse. With your initial fleet, you want to be doing some exploration, of course, and I recommend you actually split up your fleet. The reason why you want to do this is because there are creatures within systems, and they're hostile more often than not. And at this stage of the game, if you grouped up all your fleets and then managed to encounter a creature that was hostile, your fleet will get wiped out more than likely, or nearly wiped out. So this way it reduces risk, and you can also explore more. When you're exploring as well, if you right click on a system and then hold shift, you can add different or additional stars for them to visit. The actual FTL method you choose doesn't matter all that much really. I mean, you can explore with all of them. Each of those FTL methods do different things, and maybe I'll cover that in a different video. Here with xenophobes, it's actually, with this species being xenophobe, it's not always a great idea to explore a lot with them, and I'll be discussing why a bit later on. Right, so I'm going to run the clock a bit and do these, and I'm not actually going to show you every minute of the 20, possibly 20 years I'm going to do in this video, because it would take way too long. So I'm going to skip ahead now until something interesting comes along for me to discuss, basically. The first interesting thing to happen is an encounter. So we've encountered something in the Shorax system. Now, it's not actually a good idea to actually research this straight away. This is more than likely a type of creature, and there are, yeah, it looks like the crystal creature. There are events linked to these, but yeah, I'll discuss more about that later on. The reason why I don't want to research this yet is because it will delay my research on getting colony ships out. Now in a future patch, this may change, but yeah, that's the current situation with it. It would take well, what's that, nearly half a year to do, and would delay this by half a year, so it's not a good idea. So I recommend that you actually pretty much don't research anything until you've got your colony ships tech finished, at least in society research. This has happened quicker than I was expecting. I've actually found minerals within my starting home system with that science ship already, and even better, it's actually a single source of minerals that's giving me 4 amounts, which is much more than the amount you'd usually expect, which would be 2. So I'm actually going to build a station, and my government here is coming into effect, so I'm able to get this built for a much cheaper amount, 67. So with our current mineral amount of 7, that's only going to take, well, I say only, nearly, what's that, 10 months to actually get the minerals for each one of these. So yeah, we're already well down on minerals, but that's a great start, having an extra 4. But yeah, that government starting tech is excellent. We're mainly going to be spending our minerals on mineral stations, hopefully, assuming we can find them. We haven't actually had a great start here, though. There isn't many systems within our starting territory. That's particularly bad, actually. So there won't be probably too much minerals in this start. The Habitable World survey is something that always happens, seemingly. So there's a couple of options for this. I would always pick this one. It gives you extra society research and also money, which is probably better than the small amount of influence that you could take. My constructor has finished on getting up those first minerals, and it seems I've been lucky enough to find some more minerals within the starting home system. This certainly wouldn't always happen. You could have more, you could have less. Let's get started on that, and my minerals gone up considerably. The difference between 7 minerals and 11 minerals is huge. Let's get that on the go then. The second of my mineral stations has finished, and my surveying science ship has actually found another, so I'm moving that over to there. You can see I'm already out of minerals, so I can't actually afford to make this yet. One of my mineral buildings was completed here, and I moved, I think it was one of the food production well, one of the guys that was getting extra food production, I've moved him over to there. I should mention food production on the capital system. As long as you're actually in the positive, then your system will actually grow the population. And to be honest, you don't really need all that much, especially early on in the game. It's much more valuable to you that you're getting extra resources, most notably, of course, minerals. So yeah, I really, as long as you've got a tiny bit in the plus, that's all you need. Later on in the game, when you want to colonize quickly and turn over planets to sectors, that's when you need a lot of food, in my opinion. That's when I'd really concentrate on it, on the worlds that you want to move over to a sector quickly, but that's something I'll be discussing more in a future video. My science ship has just found our first anomaly. With anomalies, I actually recommend that you don't actually research these until the failure risk is basically 0%, and it takes a while for that to be the case. More often than not, you would need a level 5 skilled scientist to be able to do that. The risk is, if you do this early, that you will basically lose, well, you'll fail, and all the good effects of the anomaly will be wasted. There are some circumstances where maybe I would risk it. If you're especially low on resources, especially minerals early game, it might be worth researching it just in the hope of getting extra bonus resources. But in the main, I would leave these in most circumstances, and preferably you might get a scientist that is particularly good at researching anomalies later on. There's one which gives an extra minus 10% to discovering anomalies or researching anomalies, which is a particularly good one, but yeah, we didn't have him here. I'm nearly a year into the game now, and I've actually just found my first empire. Now you may be wondering, where is that first empire? You can't actually see their territory here. You don't actually have to make contact with an empire before you know about them. If we scroll in here, you can see the Gamma Menace. If I look into this system, there is a homeworld of a faction, size 16 planet. This is definitely another empire. Now, we can't find out too much about them yet, but having said that, there is some useful information here. You can see that their homeworld is an arid world. We know what type of worlds they prefer to colonize at this stage in the game, and at this stage in the game they can only colonize those worlds, which means it's a very good idea now for me to check out the area near to them that I've explored or about to explore, to look for arid worlds. It's a good idea basically to keep them as weak as possible, and to do that you want to keep them to have in as few worlds as possible, colonize as little as possible and get as little territory as possible. So one way you can do that is by making outposts on or near to the arid worlds that happen to be near to them, or Gaia worlds, which they could also colonize, of course. Or you could colonize them yourself if you happen to be able to colonize arid worlds. In this circumstance, our preference is ocean, so I would have to colonize ocean worlds near to the arid worlds to prevent them, and hope the territory encompasses them, basically. Yeah, so that's a very good idea. Now, colonizing, having territory near to another empire is going to annoy them, which lowers relations, but yeah, we can improve relations in certain ways later on, potentially, depending on what their ethics are. Some races that are impossible to get along with, fanatical purifiers, for instance, which I think are spiritual fanatic xenophobe, along those lines. There are democratic crusaders as well, which are an issue. So at this stage in the game, I found one empire, which is arguably one more than I actually wanted to find, because with a xenophobic race, there's something that I would probably want to do early on in the game, and that's actually conquer primitives. Now, with the patch I'm currently using, and hopefully in the future, perhaps on the patch that you're using way into the future, that natives will hopefully show up on the map, but they don't currently. But there is a way to actually find out where primitives are without surveying a system. If I go to, if I can remember which system it was, this system here, I had a quick look around, the Adira system, you can see it mentions there's one planet there. If we actually look in the system, there are 2 planets there. That means that that one must have primitive life on it, on that tundra world. And there can also be worlds within systems that say they have no worlds, but I haven't found any in this circumstance. So I am actually, with a xenophobic race, going to want to conquer those early on, and that's a way that you can really grow and get off to a great start. That's why I picked the xenophobic race in this circumstance. Now the problem with conquering these guys, it's actually really easy to do, but it incurs a diplomatic penalty with any of the empires that you find, notably this one, which we're going to be making contact with more than likely pretty soon. So I could get out an army right now to go and conquer that quickly, but well, I'd have to survey it first, I believe, and build an army when I've got the minerals, so that's not possible. So at this stage in the game I may actually want to stop exploration, because I don't want to have minus relations with other empires that I may happen to make contact with or find pretty soon if I were to keep on exploring. I could try to make contact with this empire straight away, and there are reasons to do that. You actually gain a bigger influence bonus if you are the first one to make contact rather than them make contact with you. But this of course will delay our research on the colony ship, and also if we actually happen to find someone like a fanatical purifier who hates us, they'd more than likely close borders, which could cause issues. That's another reason to delay it a bit longer. Perhaps I might want to explore down here in certain circumstances, maybe not with our xenophobic race, but yeah, that could be the case. My system survey just finished within the capital system, so I'm going to get them down to, sadly, the only other solar system within my starting territory. My borders will grow eventually, but yeah, they're not in my territory yet, these nearby ones. You can see if system is within your territory if you hover, well, over here and see the tooltip. Also the hexagon that's near to a star as well. If that is in your color of your territory, then you know that it's within your territory. Can be a bit confusing with the position of the systems on a 3D map. Some of my exploration corvettes are, I'm actually bringing that one back. The other two I'm going to do a tiny bit more exploration and bring it back because of the situation with those primitives, and I don't want to annoy a ton of empires. My luck has actually run out here, and I've been engaged by some space creatures. It's mining drones, I think, in this circumstance. Now you can see their strength is miles more than my current corvette strength. Even if I group these up, I would lose probably a couple of ships before I could retreat, maybe all of them. So this is a clear example of why you should split them up, and of course so you can explore more. But yeah, I'm gonna lose this here. It takes a month to retreat. I think when you get down to maybe 25% left, it's automatically lost. If you retreat, you lose the ship. I think that's going to change in a future patch, though. They're making changes to how emergency FDL works, so you can always have a chance of losing ships, I believe. Right, so yeah, I lost that. Now, well, if you lose your early ships, well, you're going to need a certain amount later on for pirates. So we'll have to make some more early game for those. And you will, of course, when you start finding empires, want to build up a fleet, otherwise you're going to be too weak. But I probably don't need to replenish them yet. It's more important to get the minerals from the stations on the go, at least for maybe a few more years. The construction of my second mineral building has just completed on Planitia Primus, so let's check that out. I'm going to want to move a population points over here, which the only one I can really use is that energy one. So I'm actually pretty low on energy now, and I'm maybe going to want to make an energy station. But before I do that, I need more minerals. This population point here, one very useful trick with population points is actually to put the growing population point on a tile that doesn't have any resources. That way you actually get a pop-up saying that there's an unemployed citizen. Now sadly in this circumstance I don't actually have a tile that has no resources, so I wouldn't get the pop-up. Yeah, the reminder is very useful, so you can basically put it on the best tile that you have. If you have already an unemployed citizen, though, on a different world, it won't work, so it's important to remember. My survey ship has just completed surveying the last system within my territory, so I'm going to have to survey further abroad now. My priorities should be planets that I can colonize, systems I want to potentially put an outpost in to, as I mentioned before, maybe prevent other empires from colonizing them. And I should also find out about primitives as well, which I may or may not want to conquer. One reason why xenophobes are particularly good at conquering minor races, and actually most ethics can conquer minor races even early game, but the xenophobes actually get, more often than not, a very early game build-in, which gives an extra 10% happiness. It can be quite difficult to control primitives that you conquer. It is questionable whether or not to conquer them often in certain circumstances, but yeah, it's much more viable when you are a xenophobe. Right, so with this science ship, we're going to get that into action. Also within this system, sadly I didn't find any more minerals, but my minerals, as you can see, has increased a lot, and basically a year it was, from 7 to 20. There's actually some society research here which is probably worthwhile picking up in this circumstance, and also that energy which I'm now going to need. The society research will allow me to get this quicker, and I can start saving up my minerals to get 350 ready to colonize straight away, or have enough maybe to make an outpost if I choose to do that instead of colonizing first, which yeah, could be definitely the right idea here. They'll probably make contact with me within the first couple of years. If I can find these primitives now and conquer them before we make contact, that would be great, because I wouldn't get the -2 relations, but have to see whether or not if I'm able to do that. Before setting off my survey ship, I did another pass on all of these systems looking for primitives, and I actually found some in this system. And it was basically, well, if I look into the system here, you can see there's 3 worlds when only 2 actually show up there. So I sent my survey system there to survey an arid world, and we found Pindra Vosk and this primitive civilization. Also, one of my corvettes, I managed to somehow get them involved in combat here, which was an accident, and yeah, it's a mistake. Hopefully I can get out. How many days have I got? 3 days? No, I think I've lost that. Right, anyway, these primitives are now found. This science ship, I'm actually going to try and find the other primitives I found earlier, and there's a risk of running into creatures, of course. So which is it? Desert World, and that's one where the primitives are going to be. Okay, now that I've found the primitives, I probably should make an army to go and pay them a visit, since I'm more than likely going to be wanting to conquer them. These guys, they're materialist, fanatic, militarist. Now, ethics really matter, actually. The nearer they are to your own, the better or more stable they're going to be under your control. They're going to have minus, I think it's 25 happiness once you've conquered them for a certain amount of time. So that's going to be a big problem. But yeah, these guys are quite close to our ethics. So I definitely think they're worthwhile conquering, but I don't have the minerals to make armies yet. Actually, I spoke too soon. There are only 60 minerals, and I have 67, so let's make one of those. I just checked this system as well. They only actually have 1 army. Now, even though I have a weak trait, I should be able to take those out in theory, because they're a backward civilization. So I'm gonna get those over to there as quickly as possible, and hopefully don't meet or make contact with those before I conquer them, because I can get away with not having the -2 relations then. My assault army just completed. I think I'm only going to need 1, but I'm going to save back some minerals just in case. I could add an attachment, but it costs a lot, so I'm not going to do that either. It's way too early on in the game to really need those. So let's embark that. I could hire a general, but once again, I don't think I really need it yet, so I'm not going to bother with that. Let's move that to here, and I'll attack them shortly. These guys are Bronze Age, it turns out. hope that doesn't affect Finns more significantly. I don't think it does. I've got the survey ship over here as well, and we've actually encountered them. They're in the early space age. That's particularly bad actually, because they could become fully fledged empire if I don't invade them pretty soon. They actually even have some sort of station here, so I need to do that rather quickly. Their ethics, hopefully they're similar to mine. They are xenophobe, which probably pretty bad. They're pacifist, spiritualist, which is the opposite to me. To be honest, these are pretty terrible, but they are communal. That's a good thing. It might well be worth invading them, or even making a border outpost observation center there, an outpost, and trying to do it that way. My army has arrived in the Grugmora system, so I can invade these Bronze Age primitives. And all you have to do this is land armies and say yes to the confirmation. Other than that, I had a Corvette here which I thought was going to be destroyed, but actually managed to escape with 0.3 damage, which I'm repairing. I needed some energy, so I'm making a mine there. My science ship is coming down here to survey the sun at the center of the system in hope of making an outpost there. That's what you have to do to make outposts. And apart from that, I think we're looking good. Right, so let's check this out in more detail. My society got improved as well, so that cuts down on the time I need for colony ship.
Enemy planet secured.
Okay, so we've got a second world, only 2 years into the game. A bit of xenophobic text here. Now they suffer from culture shock, which is particularly bad. I'm not quite sure how long it lasts. 10 years? Maybe up to 25 years, kind of depends. So that reduces output from resources pretty considerably. So it's not quite as good as a normal colony. These guys, though, should be able to keep them under control with them being materialists, and fanatic materialists. Militarist won't cause many issues for our guys either, being xenophobic. I'm going to want to make a reassembled shelter here on the best food tile available, and move that around there. So I can start making buildings here when I've got enough minerals, but yeah, still a shock isn't good. I could actually enslave these guys, and I'm not sure I mentioned at the start of the game, if you happen to be collectivist, you should actually, with collectivists, enslave your guys on the mineral and the food tiles, but not on any other tile. With these guys, because their happiness is pretty good, I'm not sure it's such a good idea to enslave them. I would get more out of minerals and food though, but it could be an issue. I'm not really sure what to do here. It's worth playing around with maybe in some circumstances. If I wanted to enslave though, if they were collectivists, I'd definitely enslave. But if you want to enslave, of course you have to change your policies and go here. The regulated Xeno option is probably the one to go for in most circumstances, although it's not as quite as much output. They won't give you as much trouble. You can see that factions are starting to form already. 12.5% is actually quite a bit. I think I can reduce that though. You should always check to see what's annoying populations within your empire, especially not your standard race. So they dislike resettlement, so I'm actually going to turn it off since I don't actually need it on at the moment. If I were to enslave them, it would lower relations as well, so but slaves don't cause as much trouble when it comes to factions, so I'm going to keep an eye on that situation. Right, that will improve things. We're xenophobic, of course, so I can get the Monument of Purity, and that tech pops up a lot very early, more than often than not, so that'll give me extra 10% happiness eventually. Yeah, so back up to 35. Haven't taken those, and we took them as well before finding that empire, so we're not going to suffer bad relations from them. both of those systems are now within our territory, including our arid world, which they would have wanted to colonize. That's great. I can now actually get my science ship to survey, look for more minerals, and continue our good start. I've just found been contacted by this empire down here, so it wasn't much in it actually conquering these guys. They are the Imperium of Loza, and they are evangelizing zealots, so they're not going to like us too much. They're collectivist spiritual. And it's a plant species using the new plant DLC, so they actually look pretty good, these ones. Yeah, they absolutely hate us, so I'm probably might as well rival them in a bit, possibly even now. Yeah, but if I could get on better relations with them, it would be worthwhile. I'm probably going to have to start building up a fleet then once I've got enough minerals. Pirates are going to be coming within a few years, so I need a fleet for that reason as well. And he's hiding from us. One thing which is often a very good idea, if you can't form a non-aggression pact with a new empire that you meet, you're going to have to improve your trust in one way or another unless you gift, which is very expensive. The only way you can really improve your trust early on is actually via a research treaty, and it's worthwhile giving it to them for free to gain their trust. You can get an extra 50 relations by doing that, and at the early game you can see that you don't actually have any tax, so you're not really giving away anything that valuable. In this circumstance though, with them hating us, it's probably not worthwhile. I'm going to be rivaling them soon, more than likely. My science ship has just finished surveying the sun within the system. I brought my constructor ship down here. I'm actually going to build a frontier outpost here, which is rather expensive. The influence cost depends on how far away the nearest outpost or colonized planet is, so it's from there basically. That's the case for colonizing worlds as well. I believe it's worthwhile getting an outpost here. I get a ton of extra territory that should grow down towards there. There's an arid world there which prevents them from colonizing it by sticking an outpost there. They actually closed borders on me, so they haven't rivaled me yet. They're superior, so I should probably be thinking about building up a military very soon. I've been building up my minerals though. We are starting to get some faction issues here. There's more reasons to turn them into slaves because it would be less of a less rebellions from them. Yeah, let's do that actually now then. Might as well. So if we go to slavery, if I can find it, I'll do that one because yeah, it's less issues, but yeah, you do get a bit less in output. So if we enslave these guys, if I go to here, I'm going to enslave a lot of them. This stage I'm not using science or energy, so it's not going to be an issue. And you can see now, if I wait a day, that we get an enslave bonus to the food and the minerals. Culture shock is still in place though, so that's increased our output. And also if we check this situation here, it's only 0.4 there and 2.1 there, so it's a lot less of an issue, which is great. Right, so this science ship actually finished. Let's make an outpost here, and a science ship can get back to these systems within my territory to find some more minerals, which I definitely need. Colony ship, I'm 21 months away from getting that, so I need to save at the 350, which is the next priority. This has come earlier than expected. I've actually got space piracy only 3 and a bit years into the game, so I need a fleet. Now when I'm making an outpost, this is particularly bad because pirates could go for outposts, and since they're very expensive, if I were to lose it, it would be really a bit of an issue. If I lose a mining station, it's not a massive issue, but I obviously don't want that either. What I'm gonna hope to do here is basically engage the pirates when they go for a station or an outpost. To defeat them, I probably need about 4 corvettes, and I probably will end up losing some. I don't actually have any tech yet to upgrade my corvettes, which is a bit of an issue. I actually had a population grow here recently as well, and at that point I actually needed more food, so I put it on that food tile and making a hydroponic farm there. I think it would have been about 0.4 per month growth otherwise, which is a bit too low. Right, so let's get some corvettes out, and my minerals were growing en route to getting a colony ship, but it's going to be delayed by the looks of this early space piracy. The pirates have actually attacked one of my stations, the society one I had. I've just finished my 4th corvette. I think it's probably worthwhile to hire a general, or an admiral I should say, in this situation. So I'm going to do that now. At this stage of the game, well, I think a fire rate one's probably the best one there. So let's get that guy and stick him on there. Now while they're attacking a station, this might just be enough, although I could probably do with maybe one more. I really want to get colony ship on the go though, and I'm not going to probably, well, if that's destroyed actually it's going to delay it anyway, so yeah, losing one station is bad, especially a research station since that cost me 90, but it's at the end of the world. Right, because we're hyperspace, we're getting quite quickly here as well.
System survey complete.
Right, they actually destroyed that, so I'm not going to engage them. I'm going to wait until... I'm going to move there. Maybe they'll go for that and I can attack them then. Right, so we also had a survey complete there as well, so I'm going to do there. They did actually decide to go for the station, and I also had a research complete. This is a prerequisite to robots, so it's very important to get it early on, especially if you're materialist, or in fact most ethics apart from spiritualists. We should be able to defeat those then. I guess we'll find out in a second.
Hostile fleet engaged. Construction complete. Hostile fleet engaged.
Okay, so the pirates are about to
Situation
be
log updated.
defeated. Excellent. So you really don't need an awful lot. And once the pirates have been defeated, that's it currently with the current version of the game. So they're really not much to worry about at all. Right, so the current situation I find myself in, I need to finish that in 11 months, which I should just about have enough minerals for by then. I've actually completed the Habitable Worlds event. I've been surveying a bit, the outposts territory for example. So we get 150 in society and 100 energy, which is going to be fantastic. You need a certain amount of energy when you've actually got a colony ship out, which saving up for now. We've got society stored up, so we're getting double at the time being, so we're only going to be 4 months away from getting that. The colonization tech just completed. Sadly I don't have 350 minerals. I was well, a couple of months off. I almost timed it correctly, and exactly what I wanted has turned up. No surprises here, it's really likely to happen. The Purity campaigns, Monument to Purity building for Xenophobes has turned up, so that will be great for that world and future worlds that I conquer. So that's going to be next in the list. Apart from that, I'm just going to wait until I've got my colony ship on the go. I should also mention as well, I didn't before, you should stick your governor on any planet that you have happiness issues on, like I have here. I've finally had enough minerals to get the colony ship out, so I'm going to colonize there first. It's not the best of worlds, but hopefully that area of the world will come within the borders to prevent them from getting it. That's the main reason I'm colonizing it. One tech I should mention to do with colony ships is private colony ships, I believe it's called. Only individuals can have it. It requires money. There's a drawback to do with ethics, but if you're an individualist, that could be a way to go, especially if you have a mineral shortage. After I actually picked up the colonizing tech, what I probably should have done is started working on these investigations to find out more about the creatures and potential empires that I found. So I'm actually going to start to do that now. Arguably, I should maybe hold off to get some important techs because it is delaying this. The Monument to Purity would keep them under control. So yeah, it might be a good idea to wait actually until I pick that up.
Construction complete.
I've actually just completed my colony ship as well. That's finished. So at this stage, there's not too many more minerals left. There's a couple there, and of course I could be improving some minerals buildings here when I get enough minerals. I should be starting to build a fleet here, regardless of what weapon techs I got. These guys could be an issue. They are actually hostile. So hitting my cap as quickly as possible would be a very good idea. Getting extra science ships and extra constructor ships if I need them is always situational. I don't really need either currently, but I will at some point. This colony ship, I believe I've mentioned the influence cost, how it works before, so it's only 30 since it's very close to us here. In the main, you're going to want to colonize close to you, but yeah, if you've got a lot of influence, it's not so important. I'm actually going to be doing a video on colonizing next, I believe, so I'm not going to mention too much more about colonizing. I'm just going to place that there and wait until that's done, basically. I think in patch 1.25, what used to happen is you could research all of these at the same time, but I don't believe you can do that anymore. Okay, so we've got our first colony and the borders have started to grow here, so I can now actually get my constructor over there and pick up those minerals in a bit. You're going to need a lot of money when you're colonizing, especially early game when you don't have so much. You're going to have to build up a bit of a surplus, which I had done here. I'm going to have to be a bit careful with that situation though. So the special project I had on the go has finished, and this is for one of the creature types. I think there's 5 creature types, maybe 6. Now each of these events that you get, you usually have a couple of options, not all of them do though. What you should go pick here is really down to what ethics you start with. And there are there's 8 different ethics types, and if I were to go through all of this for each and every creature type, this would take a long time. Maybe I could do it for another guide video. But what I recommend you do is actually check out the Stellaris wiki, and there's a page on that which explains all of this. So have a look for whatever ethics that your race, your empire happens to be, and check out the different options. For instance, one that is particularly good, if you're an individualist, there's one that gives you an extra 5% energy. There's other bonuses like giving extra evasion for your ships. There are a couple of good ones. There's a couple of bounty options as well, which are particularly good. I think the materialists get a really good bounty for one event. So yeah, there's quite a few different bonuses that you can get, which are very good, and you should check out that wiki page, which I'll leave a link to as I mentioned. The colony ship is about to finish colonizing. I've maybe mismanaged money a tiny bit, but I've started making some money stations and making a money building there, so it should be alright. Guess we'll see in a second.
Colony established.
Yeah, so -4 is okay. If I can get a couple of money stations up, which I can with the minerals the way they are, should be okay. The main reason of colonizing there, of course, was to hopefully get the arid world within my territory. It doesn't look like it's quite there, but one border growth, which won't take too long, and it should be within our territory to prevent them from colonizing it. You can see that my borders are starting to coalesce now with all of these different colonies and outposts. I think at this point I've pretty much shown you just about everything I wanted to show you. I've got a bit more to discuss, I guess. From here on out, I'd be wanting to get up to 5 planets as quickly as possible. After that amount, you tend to have a bit of a delay before you can turn them over to sectors. You probably want to get them built up, at least the initial capital tile on those, before you think about turning them to a sector. But I'll discuss more about that in a future guide video on sectors, perhaps. Yeah, so other than that, minerals, you want to get those up as quickly as possible. I'm going to have to get my money under control, which won't be too hard. Other than that, I might want to start doing more exploration, find some more primitives, and even invade some more primitives. Sticking an outpost on there, or actually just invading them to get those primitives might be a good idea. I've got to get my fleet up pretty quickly here. These guys, it's not too long before they might consider declaring war. They are actually superior already. This is on hard difficulty, so most of you will be playing on normal, so it won't be as difficult, but yeah, I might want to get my fleet up a bit at the moment, and maybe even save up for some starports as well. But they're very expensive. That would increase the naval capacity though if I could do that. Actually using my fleet to kill creatures is a very good idea, especially creatures that happen to be within my territory. That, for example, is creatures down there. I would want to kill those quickly and survey it, get constructors in if I happen to find any minerals, for example. Eventually I'm going to start to want to get science up. That's very important. This world isn't great so far, but it is giving me stuff. It's well worth taking. It only cost me 1 army unit, and not having any rebellion issues. Around this stage I would definitely want to hire a governor that reduces build cost if I didn't have him already, which I don't in this circumstance. Basically with those you can move them around all your planets straight away and build straight away. That's a really useful trick. On the actual capital, I'm going to need some money coming up to clear some tiles, so yeah, actually building some money stations is very important coming up. But yeah, we're in pretty good shape. It's not the best of starts I've ever had, far from it, but yeah, it's pretty decent. And I think if you follow the things that I've mentioned during the course of this guide video, you'll see some pretty good results, hopefully. If I were to sum Stellaris up, it's a game of priorities. If you don't need it now or very soon, don't spend your resources on it. Save it for something that you need, that's your priority, that's much more important, no matter what it is. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. If you did, please help me out by giving this video a like, a thumbs up. It massively helps out my channel because it boosts my videos in YouTube search rankings. Without that, people find it very hard to actually find my videos, and they basically go unwatched if no one can find them. So if you can help out by liking the video or even sharing a video, anything along those lines, I'm really, really grateful to you. And if you enjoyed the video, you might as well consider subscribing as well. Not only is it going to be more guide videos, I'll leave an annotation in this video when the next guide video is out, or you could just check the playlist. There's going to be more Stellaris Let's Plays. I've done existing ones, of course. You may want to check those out as well. Yeah, actually check out my homepage or check out my previous playlists. There's tons of games I've already covered. I intend to actually cover many other games this year. Civilization 6 is coming out. I'm going to do a ton of content for that. Endless Space 2 might be out this year as well. I've already covered the first game, so I'm definitely looking forward to that also. Might cover Master of Orion a bit more. I'm sure there's other games as well that you'll be interested in, and I'll also be interested in, and I'll more than likely cover. If you have any comments or questions you may want to ask for me to cover certain games, please let me know. If you have any questions, I respond to questions no matter how old a video is. Maybe you just want to say hi, who knows. Apart from that, I should let you know that I have a Patreon page. Patreon is a company that helps facilitate people supporting channels like my own. You can make a donation via Patreon, whether small or large, or one-off or more usual once a month. Without my existing patrons, my channel simply wouldn't exist. I need a certain amount to be able to cover content on a channel, keep the channel going. The ad revenue that's coming in from YouTube at the moment just simply is terrible. So without Patreon, yeah, I wouldn't be able to continue doing this. So if you did check out my Patreon page, and even better, if you decide to become a patron of mine, that would be amazing. I just want to thank my existing patrons as well. Thank you. You're absolutely amazing. Right, I think I've covered just about everything I wanted to cover. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Construction complete. Enemy planet secured.